Damn. Uh.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Aero Sentinel's channel. This is the second series of the initial impressions for the RTI Arms Prophet. If you haven't watched the first video, go ahead and watch that now and come back to this one. Again, we'd like to mention that if you're a fanboy, fangirl looking for justification for your purchase, move along. This isn't for you, because our reviews are honest and truthful reviews based on our experience with the products. So we're gonna mention not only the good but also the bad. So if you're a complete fangirl, fanboy, or someone looking for justification for your purchase, there are tons of videos out there that will glorify a product, okay, such as this one. Like, lots of other reviewers out there with pretty much all the rifles. I mean, because they're promoted, that's their job. Okay, the reason why we do this is for accountability, because if everyone is doing videos that majority are doing anyway, where they glorify everything and do not mention any and nothing is honest anymore, and there's no accountability, right? How will the manufacturer address the issues? How will they come up with the next product to address issues, ensuring that the consumer, such as ourselves, get their money's worth? Because these things are top dollars. They're not cheap by any means. So with that said, that's the reason for these videos. It's not a bashing moment or causing a blemish to a manufacturer, and there's gonna be some of that because of course we're honest reviewers. We're gonna mention it. We're gonna mention the faults, such as customer service, that sort of deal. And so with that said, we want to make sure that we mention RTI Arms did not provide us this. No one provided us this. Airguns of Arizona, who we purchased from, did not provide this. We purchased it on our own, complete, full retail, no agreement whatsoever, and that's why we can give it to you raw. You know what I mean? So again, with the issues, they were resolved. I mean, the fastest ever. With regards to responses, I mean, top notch, number one in my book, with any manufacturer, all the manufacturers out there regarding product support. They responded the following day, of course, because it was evening here when we messaged them, indicating that there are issues with the product that we purchased, and we messaged RTI Arms within the first hour or so. They responded. I mean, like, that is fast. I mean, that tells me something about a company that wants to back their product, wants to make sure that a consumer is happy with the product, and should there be anything wrong, they will address the issue. So to us, Airguns of Arizona is number one in the entire country. You might be thinking, yeah, right, he's saying that because he's wearing their hat. Well, it's my favorite hat. I like it because it's free. That's one reason why it's my favorite, but it's not promoted. This was over a year old. Okay, I purchased it. It was thrown in with another and that's how great of a service you get from Airguns of Arizona. So again, with the issues, back to the issues, we had an issue, and with the cocking, it's very smooth now, and then it's not as sloppy as it was with the first one. And on top of that, we finessed the other one actually also, because I tore it up and took a look just to make sure I knew why it was happening, why we were facing those issues. My curiosity would not have left me sending it back without even looking into it. And since I opened it up anyway, because I had to switch out the calibers, So it's very smooth and very easy now. Okay, real happy with it. Air Guns of Arizona said, no, we'll take care of it. They sent us a whole new rifle, minus the barrel and minus the pellet probe. Okay, and pretty much said, yeah, leave RTI Arms alone, we'll take care of it on our end, and that's just how great they are. So we'll go through and discuss what it is that we've actually done and how it was resolved, what our findings were, and our conclusion to this initial impression of this RTI Arms Prophet in 25 caliber, .25 caliber that you see here. Alright, so let's go through them and we'll take you through the whole thing. So, Air Guns of Arizona said, hey, we don't have a 25, but we'll send you a 22, and if you're comfortable, we'll send the 22 to you, the .22 caliber, and if you're comfortable, you'll do the swap. And I took a look at it. I mean, there's no teardown or anything like that. I mean, it's a simple, single page that's double-sided, pretty much mentioning a few things. And I took a look at it and I said, yeah, it's easy, right? But prior to that, while it was en route to me, the 22, I took a look and curiosity why the binding was, and what I found, and we'll attach a video clip here shortly on what I found, was that the hammer spring and hammer were gunked up with a gritty, powdery substance. It was black. It's dark black. It's almost like a type of grinding compound of sort. But anyway, it was a fine, gritty type of material, like real sandy, sort of ashy material, and we'll show that here. My hands was gunked up with it when I opened it, and I thought, oh crap. Of course, I cleaned up majority of it, but you'll see still a good amount of them on the video. But yeah, pretty much it was gunked up with that. And after cleaning that, and so that's why when we, tried to cock it, it was so hard, and then it was just, like it was just stopping every which way, right? And it was hard. So the spring, the hammer, and that whole entire chamber was gunked up with this thing. We cleaned it up and then re-lubed, and then it was smooth. But we didn't do too much. We didn't adjust it like how we adjusted this and tuned this. We tried to tune that one just to see the curiosity before we even found that issue, and it was all over the place. Like, it was significant amount of variance from extreme spread to consistency. But after cleaning it, we did do some shot string test, and it was more consistent, but something was still wrong with the regulator. Like, I mean, I couldn't tune that regulator. So after filling it up, we'd see, there's a 2 magazine. Of course, it comes with 1 magazine, but after, you take a little break, fill it up, and then you'd get this sort of the first shot. Like, this is 10 round each magazine, so the number 1 shot would be significantly low, and then the 21st shot, after you took a little break and did this, it would be significantly low again. So, and then the 41st shot, of course, so every time you take a break to fill up, or you went away and wait, or you just wait and then you shoot, there's a significant drop in FPS. So we found that to be true with this one, and I'm not sure if it's a design factor. We found that to be true with this one to a minimal level, meaning it's extremely consistent, but we noticed that the extreme spread is pretty much the reason why. If there wasn't that issue, the extreme spread would be much lower. But that's normal with majority of guns, but for some reason that anomaly is there. But we just want to point that out. So this is the simplest design. I mean, the easiest to swap calibers. I mean, I took my barrel out. I mean, I could have done it in taking my time, 10 minutes, super fast, easy. So swap the caliber out, send them back, but before, I did notice that both regulators were off by the exact same variance, meaning if we stopped at 300 bar and we filled our 300 bar using our Wicca gauge, that's accurate. We know this to be true. We've compared it with all our other gauges, and that's our most accurate gauge, and that's what we rely on for verification for these gauges. And I'm not sure if it's factory set that way, but the two guns, I had the RTI Arms Prophet at the exact same time, so I could validate that there was a variance of the same exact amount, which was about 25 bar off. So our Wicca gauge reading 300 bar, and then the two RTI Arms Prophet would be about 325 bar, okay, on the gauge. So with that said, we want to mention that I'm not sure if that's just the two rifles, but it's odd that they were exactly about the same variance. Maybe it's a buffer from folks overfilling, so it could be a good thing, right? You want to make sure you're at 300 bar and no more. So the issues were pretty much addressed by swapping out. They sent me an entire new rifle, minus the barrel that I just swapped out and the pellet probe. The easiest to change was this rifle as far as caliber swap. I mean, super easy, it's very fast. RTI Arms is top-notch in customer service. They were willing to go out of their way. We did mention the issues to them. They'll address them. With the regulator as well, there is issues with some anomalies that I mentioned to them with the regulator, and we'll show you here in a bit. The regulator is consistent. We're doing significant amount of shot count, which is 104. At our tune, the way we tuned it, where we like certain caliber to be at with regards to the possible pellets or slugs, right? Whatever ammunition we use, but for our purposes, it's hunting, and we want to make sure that we tune it for that. The thing is, it was addressed as far as all the issues for the most part. Now it's a product to be worth its value in dollars. All right, so we're gonna go over like what we like and what we don't like about this rifle. All right, so the first thing about what we like about this rifle is the shot count. 104 full power shots. When we say full power shots, full power to our tune, and yes, we're gonna squeeze out every ounce of power available, but not to sacrifice accuracy, because to us that's optimal. That's optimum. It's accuracy, power, and then shot count in that order. That's how we prioritize our tune. All right. It might differ for majority out there or to some, but that's our tune. And when we say full power shots, full power to our stuff, which is about 55 foot-pounds of energy, about 55-60 foot-pounds of energy. So with that said, shot count 104 shot, very consistent. I mean, extreme spread of 18. 18, yes, you heard it right, 18, 1-8, not 80. Extreme spread of 1-8. 18 across the whole shot string, from max fill of 300 bar to, and that's another great thing, is it's takes up to 300 bars, so that's why you get a significant amount of shot count. And it's efficient. The regulator is efficient. The design is efficient. The valving is efficient. So with all of those working together harmoniously, they pretty much, you get what you pay for. It's 104 shots, 18 extreme spread of 18, and I believe the shot-to-shot consistency, the standard deviation, was roughly about 104 shot count, shot string, extreme spread of 18, and standard deviation of 4. You cannot ask for more. That is consistent. So just want to point that out. That's one of the likes. Consistency we mentioned already. Accuracy, this thing is accurate. I mean, it surprised me. Right off the bat, the first, and maybe because that I like the JSB MK2 heavies right straight away, and that's what I chronographed this rifle at for the MK2 heavies, 33.95 grain. Chronographed it, adjusted it, tuned it for that, took it out and zeroed the scope to it, and man, not even one flyer. I cannot wait to take this out to its actual field test, and because it's so accurate, I know right away it's gonna see field work with regards to actual hunting. It will see first blood very soon. That's how accurate this thing is. I mean, I didn't have to fidget with it. I don't have to do much with it. It's accurate. It's up there, and that's one of the reasons why it's gonna take on a direct comparison in another video with the Oregon. That will be a direct comparison with the Oregon because of the price point, its build quality. I mean, it just across the board, we intended for this thing, even before we had it in our hands. We mentioned to RTI Arms that we would be comparing this rifle because of the price point to the Oregon, and you will see that soon in one of the videos. Not pellet fuzzy. Everything we threw at it that we know from our experience that are consistently accurate for majority of our rifles. The JSB Diablo, the MK1 of the heavies, MK2 of the heavies, Air Arms, Hades, you know, those are pretty much, it's not pellet fuzzy. And here's a kicker. It's also shooting slugs. Great. When I say slugs, yes, you heard it. It's not just slug. Slugs, meaning various slugs I've tried, and they're pretty much bang on. They're accurate. Of course, I'm gonna have to revalidate at longer distances, but we were zeroed at 44-45 meters, which is approximately 51 yards. That's what we're set for. And I mean, it was pellet on pellet, no flyers with regard. So accuracy and not pellet fuzzy. We'll mention some slugs that we've tried and what works and what doesn't work in the field. So the magazine, the simplicity in design is what we like. I mean, very simple. It cannot ever be more simpler than this. We like the design, and at the same time, it's serviceability. Because it's so simple, serviceability. I mean, it's easy. You know, pretty much I looked at it, although there's no teardown or breakdown of components. You know, I looked at it and I was like, oh man, that's nice. I mean, I swapped out the barrels, like I said, taking my time, 10 minutes less. So I don't scratch it up or mess something up. I don't. And again, the design is there. The pellet probe, instead of having an O-ring at the breech, they put it on the pellet probe. So no more No more flying O-rings or whatever. Magazine. Lots of people, before we even, before the Prophet even came into our minds, we were looking to purchase the Priest 2, which shares the same magazine style, and a lot of people complained, and to this day we don't know why they're complaining that the magazines are bad and blah blah blah. But so we purchased the Prophet, and expecting that there would be an issue. You know what? No issues. It has become our second favorite, and we own quite a few rifles, and it has become our second favorite magazine, only topped by the Bro Crap, which pretty much have a better design when it comes to magazine. I mean, but this is smooth and refined. I mean, the machining tolerances are right there with regards to the magazine, and it's right on. I mean, look, no play whatsoever. Fits. It's ambidextrous, and you can switch it. I don't know if you folks can see that. There is, the only flop is if you lift it, right? But other than that, it fits so perfect. So the magazine is top notch. I'm not sure what other magazine issues that people are mentioning, but again, loading, there's no problem whatsoever. Loading is easy. You don't have to fuss around with, you know, turning it all the way and then adding the last pellet, blah blah blah, or reversing it, put a cap over, blah blah. You know, it's simple. You just load, rotate, you know, it's very easy. And it's smooth and it's accurate, because we had no flyer whatsoever. Once we zeroed this, we did a 20-shot string, and that was because it was getting dark, but we was curious, we wanted to zero, and you know, there was no flyer. It was pellet on pellet, 20-shot string, full magazines with the JSB MK2s and some others that we actually was curious to test before it got really dark, and no flyers. Bang on. Easy. Trigger. Because of the bullpup design, and because looking at the RTI Arms Priest 2, we thought that maybe, oh, you know, the bullpup design, the linkage, that sort of deal, thinking, okay, well, maybe it's bad. But you know what? The trigger is out of the box. No need to adjust. Out of the box, our second favorite trigger. It's light. I mean, I haven't yet took an actual gauge to it, trigger gauge, but I can tell you it's very light. It's probably, from the feel of it, it's probably about between 8 to 11 ounce. I would indicate. It's very, very smooth, and you can tell that the break from first stage to second stage and that sort of deal. So trigger, that's our favorite. The trigger is functional. We like it. I think we like where it's at for the most part, but it's typical. It's really one of those where you either hate it or love it or just don't care. So the compact build, that's what we like as well, and again, because of the design, it's very easy to swap calibers. Now, back to things we don't like. This is not a bash again, but we'd just like to mention them to be forthcoming. Doesn't come with 2 magazines. At this price point, I think, I mean, if we got rifles that are $800 and $600 coming with 2 magazines, why can't this rifle? Majority of our rifles comes with 2 magazines. Even the Oregon comes with 2 magazines, and it costs less. The second thing is it doesn't come with spare O-rings. Every other rifle that we have comes with at least some spare parts. At the very least, it should come with the most abused O-ring, which is normally the breech O-ring, or in this case, since it's a breech seal, we'll call it, for the sake of simplicity, we'll call it a breech O-ring, but the O-ring, it's actually on pusher or pellet probe, depending what you want to call it. So with that said, at least that, it doesn't come with any, not at all, not even a single spare anything. Didn't even come with a dust cap for that. Oh, that's a plus. I mean, I like the fact, I mean, everyone should be building their, instead of their proprietary pellet probe that, you know, they design their rifles and you start losing them or misplacing them, or you have to sort out, okay, which pellet probe fits to what. No, this one is bang on. You don't have to worry about that. Just connect your quick connect to it, and you don't have to worry about the proprietary crap. So that's what we like. But what we don't like is that it doesn't come with a dust cap. This one, you want to make shift one, we'll show you how to make one in another video. So moving along, the ergonomics. I have no idea what compelled RTI Arms to design their rifles where they're not only sharp edges but corners. I mean, it hurts if I'm holding the rifle one way, or like I'm resting it on my hand like this. I mean, these edges right here rubs up against there, and it hurts. If I'm not wearing long sleeve or gloves, I mean, it hurts. Here, I mean, you're handling the rifle, and the sharp corners. RTI Arms, please design your rifles better. If you're watching this video, of course you're going to be watching this video because you know I'll mention it. That was one of the things I told you off the bat, that why you folks come up with this, even when I was indicating the issues that I would already foresee on the design, you know, but you came out with the Prophet with the same design concept. I mean, I guess if it works, why fix it, right? If it's not broken. But it's not optimal is what I'm trying to say. Okay, you don't put corners and sharp edges on something that you always have to handle, especially for hunters, where we're carrying this thing. And then should I be resting this rifle when I'm carrying it on my hip or on my rib, or, you know, like this? You got corners over here too. It hurts. All right, at least contour it a little bit. You don't have to make it such a sharp corner. Okay, I know maybe you folks are looking for, you know, a definitive line or some kind of stuff out there, but just want to point that out. All right, that's one thing we don't like. Okay, so moving along, the quality issue checks. Well, the first rifle has a significant amount of issues where it could have been checked before sending it off to a dealer. And the thing is that the gauge is inaccurate. That's another thing, but that could be it could be a good thing if it's more than what it really says. So people will stop at 300 bar knowing that it's actually 275 in actuality, so people don't overfill it. So I guess it could be a good thing, right? So right now, because I know two rifles were doing the same exact thing, two Prophets doing the exact same thing, I cannot trust my gauge on the regulator that I have it at. Okay, so with that said, I know there's a reg creep. I know that because the regulator is one of the things we hate. The design is good, the design concept is good, but it needs a little bit more of refinement. But there is issues. It does have reg creep, and I can tell that from the other rifle because the first shot is significantly much lower than the rest of the shots. But the other one was just so inconsistent, period, because it has a mixed component issue, not just with the regulator, but also the hammer spring and some odds and ends, right? With this one, I know that there's a reg creep because the first shot is always off. The extreme spread for this rifle would be even lower than 18, But actuality, because of the issue with the regulator, there's two issues. We'll mention them, and we'll show you a shot string here in a bit. But yes, we noticed that at max fill, it would shoot much lower, and we thought, oh, maybe that's just the design or whatever. But we tune, and we know how to tune. At least we think so anyway. But so we thought, okay, well, let's test it over and over. So consistently, every time we max filled it, the first shot is always, that's always the extreme spread is much higher than the rest. Then when we proceeded with doing a shot string to see the consistency across how many shots we could do from 300 bar where it falls off on the regulator, that's when we discovered it is a regular issue and not a tuning or hammer spring issue, but a regular issue, because the first shot is significantly lower than the rest. Not significant enough to where it makes a POI change, but what we're saying is that extreme spread that we told you across the 104 shots, the extreme spread of 18, that's where it's at, within 2 to 4 shot FPS difference, you know, and everything else is 4 or 2 FPS difference variance. But the first shot is always maximized to like 18. Here's where we know exactly why the regulator is that problem, because right now it's been sitting a while and the reg is now higher than where we set it as, or when we're doing shot to shot consistent, okay, consistent shot. And we know this because we tune it exactly where we like it, so it's consistent. And then on top of that, when we wait a little bit, like this have been sitting overnight, when we wait a little bit, just enough to fill the next rounds, which is after the 20 shots, the 21st shot, the very first shot of the next batch after we filled it, because now we had that break, then it's high again. So we just want to make sure we're making it clear what we're mentioning when we say regular issue, because everybody's going to be like, oh no, I'm not buying that. No, it's not significant, but to us, we want to mention in detail what it is, and we don't want to provide a misinterpretation of so that's why we're spending time on this regulator, okay? Because the 21st shot, so the first shot is significantly lower by about 18, and then the 21st shot, after we waited a bit because we had to fill the 2 magazines up, the 21st shot is also again significantly lower, like by about 18 FPS different from the rest. And then when we waited again, because now we have to fill it again, the 41st shot is off again, and the 61st, the 81st, and 101, you know, you see where we're getting at. Every time we took a little break, it's always giving us a higher extreme spread, which is tolerable, which is not even an issue at this point, because it is shooting at 18 extreme spread across 104 shot, which is, you know, it's hard for me to believe other rifles, majority of rifles out there can't even do that. So with that said, should that be addressed, I can guarantee you a much lower extreme spread. But I did mention it because I want RTI Arms to better their product. I did mention it directly to RTI Arms, and should they have forgotten, hopefully they're watching this video. And the regulator, again, mentioned the second one is it makes a sound like a twanging clickety clack. It's almost like and we mentioned it to RTI Arms. It isn't so much of an issue, but it is an annoyance. It's an issue to me because it's an annoyance, and 2 rifles are doing it. So, which means the other rifles are more than likely doing it. If we had 2 RTI Arms doing the same exact thing, like 2 Prophets doing the exact same thing, then the chances are maybe all the rest are also doing it, but ours is doing it, and we'll show you that in a little bit so you know exactly what we're talking about. We're gonna give you shot strings here shortly, and we'll let you know what that is. All right, so hang tight.
People on YouTube, you call me a homo, but you think I stand by this? Well, that shit is a no-go. You're all coming one, because when